Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be restoring a number 5 Stanley hand plane. Now I acquired this one for about $20 on eBay, and it seems like the price on these has gone up quite a bit. And this one is in pretty bad shape in terms of just rust, but we're going to go ahead and take the whole thing apart. I'm going to clean every piece, refinish the front, refinish the handles and the frogs, take off all the rust and give this a new paint job, and I'll tune it up, sharpen it, and get this thing back to fully functioning condition. Okay, so here I'm just taking apart the plane, and if this is your first time restoring a plane, you can always take a picture of how it was before you took it apart. But it's all pretty simple. There's the frog, comes out with 2 screws. Then that is the handle, or sometimes known as the tote. It is held by 2 screws, one long one right there and a shorter one. And the front knob is just held by 1 screw, and all you need is 1 flathead screwdriver to disassemble the entire thing. So the body on this is pretty rusted, and I'm going to start off by just stripping off all the rust with a wire brush. Now there is some deep pitting and corrosion, so I opted for the wire brush before starting to sand it. That way I could go deep into those crevices without having to actually remove all that material on the sandpaper. Now I'm just going to mark with a Sharpie on the face just to see where the high and the low spots are. Here I was using some 60 grit sandpaper from Harbor Freight, and quite honestly I'm not too happy with it. It was clogging up really quickly, so that's why I switched over to the palm sander for the sides, just because I was going through, I think I went through 4 or 5 sheets of that sandpaper just flattening the sole. And even though it was rated for metal, it was clogging up rather quickly and had to replace it after just a couple minutes of use. So if anyone has any sandpaper suggestions, or maybe they're all that bad, but feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments and let me know what you think. So I had this steel rod that actually will fit in perfectly in here with a nice tight fit. So I'm going to use this as a modified lathe and just trim it with a grinder and then throw it onto the drill. So I let these pieces soak for over 24 hours, and let's see how they did. And even though that liquid is dirty, I'll just pour it back into the bottle and use it again. It still works fine. And then here I'm just giving the pieces one last brush with the brass brush just to take off any of the remaining gunk that the rust remover didn't get, but overall pretty happy with how well it worked. I feel like you really do have to let it soak for 24 hours or more to really let it take effect. I've soaked things before for 12 hours and they didn't come out that good. So let it soak for 24 to even 48 hours. So here I'm just finishing up the sharpening process on the 1200 gritstone. I did go through all the grits and reset the bevel, but I didn't catch that on video. If you guys are interested in seeing a full sharpening tutorial, I can make one of those as well and get into the nitty-gritty of how I get my blades sharp and keep them sharp. Then I'll normally finish with 20 or so pull strokes. And about 50 or so strokes on the strop. Now some people do the paper test. My personal favorite is the hair test. If it's sharp enough to cut hair, it's sharp enough to cut wood. And I love this part. Everything's cleaned, everything's ready, the body's painted. I'm just getting ready to take off the tape and then put everything back together. I love this part. Of paint drips, but nothing much to worry about. So if anyone out there is contemplating whether or not they need to buy a hand plane that's perfectly set up, or if they can buy one that's a little bit used, has a little bit of rust, I would highly recommend at least doing a light restoration on a plane that you buy if you're buying it used. That really just gives you a chance to learn the tool, understand how to tune it, and there's nothing like a well-tuned hand tool. And it's something I didn't really understand until I started woodworking with hand tools. But it's honestly one of the best feelings to set up a tool, get it sharpened, and then just get it working perfectly. And you can see these shavings are just razor thin. This tool is probably going to be with me for the next probably 30 to 50 years, quite honestly, and it's going to be a joy to work with.